When you talk about the best young wide receivers in the NFL, it does not take long to get to Malik Nabers' name. He's coming off a season where he set the record for most receptions by a rookie wide receiver with 109 for over 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. All of that while missing 2 games because of a concussion. Today, we're talking about a different injury, though, one that dates all the way back to his time at LSU and until very recently wasn't even on the minds of fantasy drafters. In today's video, we're going to dive deep into that injury, what I think it could be, and how concerned we should be about it in fantasy. Let's jump into it. Question number 1, what do we actually know about this Malik Nabers situation? Well, Coach Brian Daboll did come out and say that he would not be participating in OTAs due to a toe injury that Nabers has apparently been dealing with since he was in college. This actually comes as a surprise to us, though, because there was never a reported injury to Malik Nabers' toe while he was at LSU. In fact, while I was researching last offseason for the Fantasy Headliners Draft Guide and looking at his injury history specifically, I never came across an injury to his toe. Never saw him in a walking boot, never had any indication that he was dealing with a toe injury at all, which means it was probably minor when he was in college. Now, what this one sentence really does tell us is 3 things. First off, we know he is not practicing, so it is bad enough that they are worried that if he practices, it will get worse. The other thing we know is that his toe is the problem, so that does tell us more than what you would think. I'll get into that in question number 2. And we also know that this has been lingering for a while, or at least is a re-aggravation of an injury he has had before. So that's kind of it. That's all we really truly know about this situation. So bear that in mind as I go through the next part of this video. And that's that we don't really know the full story on this toe injury yet. Now, let's jump into question number 2. Question number 2, what could this injury be? Well, logically, the most likely scenario is that we are dealing with a turf toe injury. Now, typically with football players, toe injuries are almost always turf toe injuries, but what exactly is turf toe? Well, it is a sprain of the joint of the big toe, more specifically, the metatarsal phalangeal joint, and that is a lot to say correctly, or the joint at the base of the big toe. Think of it like the knuckle of the big toe. Like all joints, there is a fibrous capsule surrounding this joint, which keeps the joint fluid inside of the joint. And when it's overstretched into hyperextension, that capsule can tear. Like all sprains, there are grades to the tear. So if it is completely torn, that would be a grade 3, or a complete tear. Grade 2 is a partial tear, and a grade 1 would be more of an overstretching injury of the capsule or micro tearing. Now, this injury typically occurs when wide receivers plant their foot behind them while taking off at the beginning of a route, but it can occur really at any moment where they're hard planting their foot on the ground and the toe is hyperextended. The reason this happens on turf more than grass is twofold. First off, turf is a much harder surface, and so when they plant, it's more likely that the foot will get hyperextended. The other thing is that turf does not give when the foot plants hard into it. Grass and dirt will actually give a little bit when you plant hard into it. Turf is like stepping on concrete. It's not going to give at all when you plant, so all of the force is going straight through your toe. The other thing that causes issues is that cleats can dig more effectively into turf, which essentially traps the toe and allows the foot to roll over it, causing even more hyperextension. And you might say, well, who cares, Ethan? It's just a toe. And to that, I'd ask you to talk to Deion Sanders about how he feels about turf toe. What about Hall of Fame linebacker Jack Lambert, who also retired due to a serious toe injury? Legends of the NFL have had their careers ruined by toe issues, so this isn't really something that we want to play around with. So given that these injuries are to be taken seriously and that they are prone to lingering, it's not surprising that the Giants are opting to give Malik Nabers rest now which leads us to question number 3. What does this mean for Malik Nabers? Well, hopefully nothing. My guess is that this is a grade 1 injury and overstretching of the capsule and not really something that should linger for the entire season. The problem is like most injuries, the existence of this injury does predispose him to hurting it again in the future at a higher elevated risk rate. The Giants play on an infamous MetLife turf field, a field known to be brutal when it comes to non-contact injuries. Sure, they've changed the turf out, but you have to be aware that it has a bad history. That's not exactly what you want your star wide receiver playing on. And the fact is we just don't really know how bad this injury is until we see Malik Nabers missing significant time in training camp. I do worry that he's been dealing with this since college and that could be a problem as it's only going to get worse as he continues to try to play on it. There's a chance, albeit slim, that he could re-injure his toe on any given play where he is planting hard on the foot. So basically every single play that he is on the field. And there lies the problem with evaluating someone with turf toe. It's why it typically is a no-go for me in fantasy, because when you have turf toe, you're often stuck in limbo. The player could be hurt enough to where their performance is suffering, but not injured enough to actually sit out of games. And that's arguably worse when it comes to fantasy football, because if you can't trust if a guy will play at their peak level, you're more likely to put them in your lineup and be disappointed. It might not be a full-blown explosion on your fantasy team, but it could be a problem every single week if it lingers. But that's too much doom and gloom for this video. We don't really know what this means for Nabers, and lucky for us, we do have some time to wait this out. I'm not really panicking on this injury because if it is just a mild sprain, there's still a really good chance that he will be totally fine for week 1 and for the rest of the season, which leads us to our final question. Are we drafting or passing on Malik Nabers in 2025? To me, this all hinges on how training camp goes. If he's 100% without limitations, I'm probably fine with taking him in the first round. His upside is still massive, and there's plenty of reason to believe that he could pay off even at his round 1 ADP. But if things start to go south, if he's not practicing every day, if there's any doubt that he is fully healthy before the start of the season, I'm starting to slide him down my draft board and will probably be passing on him if he's still going in that first round, if this is something that continues to linger. So to answer the question, I'm still drafting Malik Nabers for now with some caution. All right, guys, that's all I got for you this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our videos. I'm actually going to be gone for a few weeks on vacation, but when I come back, we've got all sorts of training camp news and updates. We will keep you guys up to date on the channel. And if you haven't, join the channel. It's a little join button down below. You can become an exclusive member of Headliner Nation, get access to our Discord where we are already talking deep in terms of what is going on in the fantasy world right now. And you guys don't want to be missing those opportunities to ask Jake, Kyle, myself, Taylor, anybody on the team a question that you have for fantasy. It's the best way to get a hold of us. And if you haven't, make sure that you go over to tfhdraftguide.com and get your copy of this year's draft guide. It's where you will find the only place to find my draft and don't draft injury list. I'm hitting at over 80% on those lists from injuries last year. You don't want to miss that. So make sure when you head on over to tfhdraftguide.com that you pick up your copy today. That's it. I will see you guys next time.
Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game.